Welcome to FailCraft, the podcast where we dive into the messy, real side of success and explore how setbacks become the stepping stones to growth and clarity. I'm your host, Ezekiel Iferia, and today's guest is Renee Hastings. She is the president and CEO of Executive Help Now, an agency that provides virtual assistance to high level executives. But Renee isn't just in the business of administration, she is in the business of rescue. She works with founders who look successful on the outside, but are secretly drowning in their own operations. She knows exactly why talented leaders burn out because they refuse to let go. Renee started her own entrepreneurial journey back in 1996, fighting against the odds to build her own empire. She's here to talk about the superhero syndrome that kills businesses, why delegation is actually an act of trust, and how to reclaim your life before you lose your mind. So, Renee, I am very excited and honored to welcome you to Fieldcraft. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Ezekiel. I am super excited to be here today.
Great to have you here. Let's get started. Your bio mentions that you started your entrepreneurial journey in 1996 against all odds. So that phrase usually hides a struggle. So when you look back at that time, what was the specific barrier or failure that almost stopped you before you even began?
Well, I love the way this question is worded because my entrepreneurial journey actually started way before 1996. And
Mm.
it says against all odds because in 1984, I graduated from high school at 16 years old with a 1-month-old son. And even though I had my eyes set on going to college and pursuing a degree in civil engineering and as
Wow.
well as as well as acting and singing and dancing and all those other things. um, my life took a turn because now I found myself being a single teen mom who was determined not to end up on welfare and food stamps, but it ended up happening anyway. And so, because when you're a single teen mom and you're living off of government assistance, people don't really have high hopes for you. They kind of count you out and say, she's just another statistic. She'll never be anything and she'll be a leech on society. And I beat those odds, and I continue to grow in knowledge and wisdom and surrounding myself with people who would help me um, get out of that, uh, beat that stigma that was associated with teen moms and provide me opportunities to prove myself, to prove that I was capable, to prove that I was smart enough to go ahead and achieve different things and help companies accomplish their goals. So I started a career as an assistant to the C-suite, to the presidents and CEOs, and eventually the C-suites of Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies. And it's from all of these years of experience that I was able to pull from to help build the foundation of what eventually became Executive Help Now.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing that amazing and inspiring story with us, Renee. So, you now help founders who are drowning. We often think failure comes from a lack of customers, but do you see leaders failing simply because they have too much success and don't know how to handle the volume?
Know if it's that they have too much success and don't know how to handle the volume, or if they haven't learned how to properly let go and delegate things to people who are experts in those areas so that they can focus on the other things that made them successful. Typically, when a founder feels like they are drowning, it's because they have control issues. And I could be overgeneralizing here, but my experience has shown control and fear are at the base, the foundation of why a founder feels overwhelmed and can't really go much further in their building of their business.
All right, all right. So, you teach people to delegate. So, why is it so hard for a founder to hand over the keys? Is it perfectionism, or is it an ego problem? Believing that only I can do this thing right.
It could be a combination of several factors. Trust is one. Some people have trust issues. They
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's an invasion of their privacy to allow somebody into their space to understand them and who they are and what they need to have done. They feel they are perfectionists, that nobody can do it as good as them, and so they're going to do everything by themselves. It could be that they lack control, as I mentioned before. They don't want to lose control of every situation. They're control freaks. And that can be damaging to a founder if he or she doesn't get to the root of what it is that's preventing him from allowing themselves to be served by others. It could be a sense of worth. Maybe they don't feel worthy to be served. That's something that needs to be dealt with and fixed and healed so that you can scale and be all you're called to be.
So, how does a founder or a C-suite guy, a CEO, perhaps deal with it? Fix it, like you said, it needs to be dealt with.
It takes some self reflection, number one, some real deep down introspection into what is at the root of these emotions, these feelings, these tension that I get in my body when I think about the idea of letting go.
Hmm.
What is it that makes me afraid? What is it that gives me trepidation in my spirit and I can't let go? A lot of times that takes some counseling. It might take a good close friend who's on the outside looking in, who's maybe been through a few things and been through what you're going through, who can help speak into you and help you identify these things. And then it could just be a matter of doing it afraid. You know what you got to do. It's scary as all get out, but you do it anyway because you know that the more you do it, the easier it will become.
All right. So you witness executives at their most stressed states. So is there a common warning sign or maybe a red flag that tells you a founder is about to crash and burn out if they don't get help immediately?
There's so many identifiers. A lot of times it could show up in the form of lack of sleep. It could show up in the form of mistakes being made on things that are second nature. It could show up in the form of missing your child's games or not being able to make it home for dinner because you're burning the candle at both ends, trying to do all the things, doing too much. And then your health could even suffer. God forbid your health start to suffer because you are trying to take on too much and not delegating.
All right, all right. So, Renee, you run a virtual agency. Building trust when you can't see people face to face can be quite hard. So, have you ever had a moment where, that trust was broken? And if so, how did you recover from it as a leader?
In my business, we understand the um, seriousness and the power of confidentiality. And we also understand that it takes time for trust to build and it's earned. Trust is earned. So when I say that our trust has been broken on some level, I can't say that anyone on my team has ever broken a trust or broken a confidence because it's a foundation of the base of the core of who we are as partners to our executives. They confide in us things that they could never share with anyone else, not their wives, not their peers, not their subordinates, not the other people that work for them. As their right hand, you learn things that no one else knows because they trust you. We don't take that for granted and we value that position that we have. So we do everything in our power to never break that, because once you break that, it is very difficult to recover from. They're always second guessing and wondering, okay, will this happen again? So we haven't experienced it. I'm proud to say no one has ever asked me this question. So thank you for asking me this question. But I am proud to say that that trust has never been broken for any of our clients, from any of our team members.
All right, that is indeed amazing to hear. So, for the listener who is overwhelmed right now, perhaps they are working 18 hours a day and convinced they have to do it all alone. So, what's the very first task they should get off their plate to save their sanity?
Well, of course, it depends on the industry that you're in. But typically, any task that they find themselves doing that is not adding value to the bottom line is a task that should be delegated.
All
Yeah.
right.
So that could look like email management, calendar management, project management, arranging meetings, coordinating meetings. It could look like coordinating the deal flow of different investments, all of the different, whether it's marketing, social media, any of those things, expense reports, travel arrangements. Those are things that no founder should ever do on their own, ever. There's someone else who's better at that, who likes to do that, who's really good at it, and they're the ones who should be doing that, not the founders.
All right. So, what are some common delegation mistakes you see entrepreneurs make, and how can they avoid them?
I think part of the problems that some founders have is that they just delegate. They say, here, do this. But they don't explain. They don't share information about the reason, what led to this place where he is now to delegate this work. They don't explain why it needs to get done or what the desired outcome is at the end of the day. They just say, here, do this. And they expect us to read minds. We're not mind readers. We can't read
Mm.
minds. We need for you to provide at least a smidge of guidance of what it is and what you want in the end, and then leave the rest to us to figure out how to bring it all together. But if a founder won't take the time up front to do all the necessary explaining and background and all of that sort of thing, he's not setting his assistant up for success. That's why you set your assistant up for success, providing some background, some context, that sort of thing, so that they can accomplish the things that you want to get done in the way that you want them to get done so that you get your desired end result. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it does, Renee. So, I'd like to know, what are some of your go-to strategies for improving business efficiency without burning out your team?
So, of course, tools, there's so many tools out there to help streamline processes, systems. When you standardize a process and you can repeat it over and over again, no matter what it is that you're doing or who you're working with, that helps to help founders maintain their sanity, because it's basically, once you have a good system that you know works well and you can basically wash, rinse, and repeat the same then you know you're on the right track. So having tools and systems in place, absolutely, that's something that our team can help you create if that's something that's missing from your environment right now, so that everyone can then thrive and flourish in a culture and an environment that has standard operating procedures, ways of being and doing and treating clients and customers, whether it's templates, all those sorts of things that help them to maintain consistency, consistent excellence across the board.
All right. So, Renee, for you, after nearly 30 years of entrepreneurship and helping others reclaim their time, I'd like to know, what does being successful truly mean to you now?
Truly being successful means that I have impacted lives for the better.
Mm.
That's success to me, when I can look at a person who came to me so stressed out, hair on fire, candle burning at both ends, because they're trying to wear all the hats. And then shortly after working with us, and we're slowly taking more and more things off their plate, and I see the lift in their spirit. They're walking lighter, their face looks brighter, they're happy, they're smiling, they're spending more time doing the things that they really want to do as opposed to the things that they have to do. That's success to me.
All right, that's indeed an amazing response there. So finally, for our listeners who want to go learn more about your strategies, your guide, and perhaps connect with you and your team, where is the best place for them to go?
Our website is amazing. It's executivehelpnow.org, and that's help, H-E-L-P. Executivehelpnow.org is our website. It tells all about who we are, what we do, who we serve, who we don't serve, as well as a way to look and maybe consider joining our team if you've got what it takes to and a servant heart mentality and love serving others, then maybe you could be a member of our team as well.
All right. Renee, it's been a very, very valuable and interesting conversation with you today, and I am indeed very excited to have you on the show.
Thank you, Ezekiel. This has been really great. I love your questions.
Thank you very much.